So today I got something kind of intense to talk about. I have to be careful how I talk about this, especially on YouTube. And this is the idea of, let's just call it respawning, or as you know, the government would have you call it, maybe like a self-checkout option. In Canada, we got this thing called MAID. You could look it up. I can't get too into it right now because, well, you know, YouTube. But it's a major threat for monster hunters. Because when you start questioning reality, when you start questioning how the world works and how things unfold around you, sometimes everything can get just a little bit squiffy. And you're not super sure how to deal with your world. Now, that may sound kind of odd, you know what I mean? In Call of Cthulhu, a role-playing game, they have this thing called a sanity check. And you'd come across something that like is heavy ontological shock that will make you question reality and question everything about, you know, who you are, where you are in the universe. And this can make you get a little bit unhinged. It can make you make bad decisions. And you may think that this is like, what are you talking about here, Sean? No, I'm totally serious. There's been a number of paranormal investigators who've had, well, reporters specifically, who've gotten themselves into situations where, yeah, they opt for self-checkout. Now, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm not a fan of the self-checkout option. It's not something that I'm really supportive of. Because I find usually that when things look their most absolute bleakest, that's when the universe seems to come to your rescue. Things will happen that seems to make everything, well, I don't know, facilitate some kind of change. And I know that may sound, if you're going through some stuff right now, this may all sound like hogwash. You're like, man, I don't know what you're talking about here. Well, you probably do know what I'm talking about. And that's the great thing about respawning. You know, there's so many different ways you could do it. You could smoke. You could ride a motorcycle without a helmet. You could jump on the railroad tracks. You could go pick fights with tigers, you know. And then, but the point is that we have to be like, life is a precious gift. And by that I mean more than just, you know, the whole life is precious gift. I mean like consciousness. And I've said before that, you know, you are far more powerful than you can possibly imagine. You have far more abilities than even you know. And as a monster hunter, you didn't come here by accident. You set your sails in life and somehow the wind has blown you to this direction. And so, what now? What do we do? Well, there's probably some changes. Now, all these things are numbered and in sequence. You know, all the notes, you'll see that there. And that's for a reason, because one should build on each other, the World Breach episodes as well as the notes, so that you can understand what I'm talking about. I try not to repeat myself too much because, you know, it'd be boring. But, yeah, we are more than our physical bodies. And good and evil is a real thing. And that would stand to reason that things that exist beyond the veil, things that exist beyond the physical realm, might be trying to, I don't know, influence us to make bad decisions, especially if we're on the verge of becoming something incredible, if we're on the verge of becoming more than we were before. So if you are going through some bad stuff right now, you're not alone. We created a Discord server for a community, and we have so much we can investigate together and bring about real change in the world. Real change, not just in the greater world, but in your world. I've always cared very deeply about the people who watch my programming and people who are involved. And monster hunting, Sean Hunts Monsters, is an evolution of that. So, you know, don't go for the respawn. Don't go for self-checkout. The world will start to organize itself. And, you know, in the words of a great sage, this too will pass.